What's going on, everybody? This is Island Hopper TV, and today we're doing one country, one question, rapid fire for Asia. Let's do it. Oh, well, over the years it's changed a lot, but one thing that comes up nowadays, it's affordable. Now, don't get me wrong, rural Thailand is affordable, but if you're going to the tourist areas, Koh Samui, Phuket, Bangkok, you'll be surprised at how expensive it is. I've actually talked to people who come from other places and they say, wow, I'm so shocked how expensive Bangkok is. I'm so surprised how expensive Phuket is. I remember I just came back to Koh Samui after 4 years and I felt like prices had tripled. So it's still affordable in rural Thailand, but in the tourist areas, especially during peak season, you're going to be looking at Maldives prices in some hotels, over $1,000 a night. That's unheard of for Thailand 5 years ago. Oh, wow. The first time I visited Japan was actually back in 2008. But as a tourist, I went to Japan around 2017. And the thing that surprised me the most was everything in Japanese. Now, of course, you're going to say their country, of course, it's going to be in their language. Well, most countries around the world, they typically have English or other languages spoken alongside the native language. But in Japan, when I went to the train station, I was trying to go from Narita to the subway at Tokyo Central. Everything was really confusing because nothing was in English. No one really spoke English. Thankfully, I found a woman who did speak a little bit of English. She was able to tell me enough to get me going in the right direction. It took me about 3 to 4 days to get a hang of the Tokyo metro system. Really a nice metro system once you get a hang of it. But for me, at first, just that no English at all was hard to understand how to use it. Oh, K-pop? Well, so obviously you guys know about C. He's the famous guy. Gangnam Style. I went down there. It's famous. It's something that put them on the map. I'm not big into K-pop. I know that there's also K-drama all across Asia. People I talk to, they binge watch K-drama. But I would say South Korea, to me, is beautiful blue skies, big tall buildings, Korean barbecue. That's what I really think of when I think of Korea. Also, it's rich in history. Well, when you go to China, at least in this day and age, you'll be shocked and amazed at just how futuristic and modern their cities are. Whether you go to Shanghai, Shenzhen, Hong Kong, Guangzhou, wherever you go across China, you'll be amazed at how futuristic and modern their metro stations are, their trains. It's a very clean city, especially in their big cities. Once you go outside the big cities, you get the real China, as they say. But in the big cities, you're going to feel blown away by the amount of just modernity and just super mega cities. That's what I would say. I think people like Vietnam, number one, because it's affordable, so you can get more value out of your dollar or out of your euro. So I think people like that. But then also, you're going up into the mountains, you're going down to the beaches, you're going to the markets, trying the food, interacting with the friendly people. I feel like all of that together makes for a really good travel experience. But really, at the end of the day, the fact that it's safe, friendly, and affordable, it's becoming more and more popular because of that. If it starts to rise in prices like other places in Asia, will it still keep its image of being this really awesome place? We'll see. Bali, yes, it's worth it, but of course people are going to Lombok, they're going to the Gili Islands, they're going to Flores Island, they're going out to other places. I went all across Java. I wouldn't do it again, really, but I would say Bali still has something awesome about it, like a charm because of the history and the temples. But one thing I would say that Bali should try to improve upon, number one, is the infrastructure and the transportation, but also not allowing people to just build their houses and the cities right on top of those beautiful temples, because once that happens, Bali's going to feel like any other city that's just been overwhelmed by tourism and people. Well, number one is their main language Tagalog, but also English. So there's a lot of English speaking. They're also Catholic country, which is different from all the Buddhism or the Hinduism or other religions that are across Asia. So being predominantly Catholic, that definitely adds to a difference. I would say that it's beautiful beaches. I mean, they have over 7,500 islands, and you never know what you're going to see or get on those islands, but also the people are really friendly, especially in the province. If you really want to see the best parts of Philippines, you go out into the province, get away from Manila. I think Malaysia is underrated because it's modern. It's becoming more and more modern with their infrastructure, but also it's still affordable. You can get cheap luxury in places like Penang, Malacca, Kuala Lumpur. You can go out to Sabah, you can go to Sarawak, you can go to Borneo and see Kota Kinabalu. And it's a different experience in both regions of Malaysia because you have the Malaysian Peninsula and then you have the Borneo side. And it's like two different countries, but it's one country. So I would say Malaysia, being that it's so affordable and modern, makes it really underrated. Singapore is worth the high cost, and I would say that it's not as expensive as you would think. One thing about Singapore that is expensive is accommodations, but there's ways around that. You could stay in the cheaper hotels around Katong or Kelong or even Geelong, and then you can also stay in capsule hotels if you're really looking to save some money, but the food is affordable. The metro is efficient and affordable. So you can do Singapore on a budget. And in some cases, I would say I can save money more in Singapore than I would in Bangkok. Something about Bangkok, you're always spending money, more going on. But in Singapore, it's expensive for accommodation. But if you can solve that problem, you'll find out that food and the metro transportation, the activities, lots of free activities, parks, really a good place. Well, I don't have much time in Cambodia, but the time that I did go there was to Siam Reap, and I went to Angkor Wat, and that was one of the most impressive temple complexes I've seen anywhere in the world. So I would have to say Angkor Wat, if you get a chance to go there, I mean, you really feel like you're in Indiana Jones, or you might feel like you are Indiana Jones exploring around Angkor Wat. It's so amazing. I think it's because of the landscape and the affordability of Laos. As far as the people go, I would say they're friendly, but they're just not as used to having foreigners around like in Thailand. So once you cross from Nong Khai over the Mekong River into Laos, you'll definitely notice a difference, but they say Sawadi in Thailand, but in Laos they say Sabadi with a B instead of a V. So there's just subtle differences. It is two different countries. Same kind of people. They're both kind of like the Isan Lao people, but there's a lot of different dialects and a lot of different cultural aspects to Laos. But the fact that it's so beautiful in places like Luang Prabang, or as you go around, you'll realize it's a beautiful country, affordable, and I think that's what makes it so charming for many people in this day and age. Well, when you get to India, the first thing that's kind of challenging for me, at least, was the noise of the honking horns. It was very loud. It felt like when I was walking around, there was a lot of people too. Everyone's friendly. It's not necessarily dangerous, but it feels overwhelming because of all the noise, all the stimulation. And then there's a lot of animals, there's cars, there's tuk-tuks. There's just a lot going on. People coming up to you, offering you things, asking if you want to buy something. But I would say that it's kind of the fun part about it, but at first it can be overwhelming. Another thing that I found to be a bit difficult was the heat, especially during the summer months. If you go there, it can be really hot, and then you got dust in the air and a little bit of pollution kind of smelling, and it can be difficult in the big cities like Delhi or Mumbai or maybe some other places that you may go, but it's nice. It's good cultural experience, I would say. Well, the thing I would say about Sri Lanka versus India, for example, I would say Sri Lanka was everything I expected from India. It's a little bit cleaner. It's got more nature in a smaller area. The island of Sri Lanka, formerly known as Ceylon, it is a small tropical island, lots of beaches in the south. Colombo's a nice city. It's not too overly crowded. I would say that the people are very friendly. I remember when I went there, I said, man, the people in Sri Lanka are some of the most friendly people in the world. They're always smiling, always happy. And I really like Sri Lanka for that. It was also affordable, but then again, I could see how that place is going up in price real quick because it's become very famous. I wouldn't say people who go to Taiwan always want to return, but for me, the reason I would want to return is the food. The food streets, the food markets, just walking down there trying the various foods, especially the barbecues. I like that. I went up to a couple mountain villages or towns that you walk around at nighttime. You've got friendly people. They also got really efficient metro system transport, beautiful country, very mountainous. And yeah, I would say that it's a good country to visit, especially for the food. I would say it is a great way to get exposure to China. It's different though. So once you actually get into mainland China, you'll notice there's a lot less English being spoken, and it's just a different ball game really, because as you know, Hong Kong is an SAR, which is a semi-autonomous region, just like Macau. But I would say that if you wanted to get some exposure to being in China to see what it would feel like, you'd probably get that in Hong Kong, and then you can decide if you want to take the train over into mainland through into Shenzhen up into Guangzhou, or you can fly from Hong Kong to Shanghai, or maybe even take a bullet train. But remember, you need the visa to line up, make sure you get all that set up. But I would say Hong Kong's good for a first timer to China. Oh, I love Asia because of the food, the affordability, which is actually waning. I feel like it's getting more and more expensive everywhere. Probably the first time I went there in 2014, I felt like it was a great value. I feel like it's going up in price, but that's happening everywhere in the world. So I would still say that pound for pound, you're going to get more value in most parts of Asia. Obviously, Japan and Singapore, they say are expensive, but Japan's actually really expensive. You get a small kind of hotel. Korea is modestly expensive. Hong Kong's gotten expensive. But I would say that affordability is a big thing. I like the food. I've always been a big fan of Asian food because of the diversity, the spices. As you know, it's a spice orient. So, you know, you've got the really deep history with Japanese food. I mean, Japanese food, in my opinion, is number one in the world because you've got everything from ramen, the noodles, then you've got omakase, which is a whole different cuisine. Then you've got sushi, which is very deep. You've got the barbecue, which is Wagyu, Kobe beef. That's some of the finest beef in the world. So that's just Japan. But then you go to Thailand, you get pad thai, pad krapao, you get som tam, tom yum. And then you go to a place like Singapore, which kind of blends it all in there. They've got Indian, Indonesian, Malaysian, Chinese. China is another place with deep culinary history. So I would say the food, also the people. I would say I feel like it's less judgmental in Asia, even though there is some judgment, but I don't feel it's as judgmental of a culture as you would get in other places. So I feel like people are more chilled out. It could be because of the Buddhism. It could be because of other reasons that are not associated with politics or religion. But I just feel like Asia is more laid back and friendly. The diversity in scenery, places like Philippines or Thailand has great islands, tropical islands that are really accessible. You can get around on boats. And I feel like it's not going to cost a lot to explore a lot of land in those places. Indonesia has a lot of islands as well. And then you have mountains in the highland, like in Laos or northern Thailand. You've got beautiful mountains in Japan, like Mount Fuji. So the diversity in landscape is there as well. And then I feel it's really culturally rich. So if you're looking for a cultural experience, kind of something that's detached from the modern world, I feel like that's something that's good for me, is to get out of the modern world, because the modern world, with all of the architecture and design, it just lacks character and feeling. Whereas when you go around Thailand or Vietnam or China even, you come across a lot of just cultural, just down-to-earth people, down-to-earth feeling in the city. You know, that's the stuff that I like, especially in the province of the Philippines. You know, people are just so rooted in old school values, not so caught up in the modern worlds, with all the technologies that we have all these days. So I'd say you can still find that in Asia. It's a modern continent, but you still have this down to earth feeling that you can find a lot of places.